Today on Mother Mayhem. Just recognizing when you're falling into those old habits is a crucial, critical step. You don't need to shame yourself for it. Just notice it. Take a breath, take a beat, and remind yourself, this is not my truth. This is my mom's version of what I should be doing. It isn't my own. Welcome back to Mother Mayhem, the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Podcast for daughters. I'm your host, Heather Gray, and today we're diving into something many of us struggle with: the absurd expectations we can sometimes place on ourselves. And let's be honest about this, most of us don't come up with these expectations all on our own. They're the leftovers from childhood, remnants of a time when being perfect felt like survival. Be perfect to avoid conflict. Be perfect to avoid abuse. Be perfect to please your mother. I bet that sounds familiar. We know where this pattern comes from, but when that inner critic strikes, when those perfectionistic tendencies rise up and threaten to overwhelm us, what then? How do we untangle ourselves and stop the spiral? I'll be honest, I'm not just asking about this one for you guys. I have been asking it for myself too. Because, ladies, gosh, if I'm really honest with all of you, I have been in it these past few weeks. And I didn't even realize it until I was neck deep in my own spiral. So let me give you a little peek behind the curtain of this crazy, over-functioning, perfectionistic moment I've been having, and also a little bit of what I've learned from it. Spoiler alert, it's a whole lot of what not to do, but it's also hopefully going to be a really important reminder for all of you that we truly are all in this together. You all have actually had a front row seat to my latest spiral, and you didn't even realize it. And truth be told, I didn't either until I was smack dab in the middle of it. 2 weeks ago, I recorded an episode for you and for the people who love you. And when I say I was excited about that, gosh, like really excited about that. I saw so much potential in that conversation. It felt like so much opportunity for understanding and connection. And also, this is where things started to unravel. Looking back, I caught myself thinking, if I can pull this off, well, that one little phrase set off a cascade of perfectionistic expectations. Suddenly, that voice in my head, I was telling myself I had to make sure that you, the daughters, never felt called out or exposed, that I avoided oversimplifying your experience, but that I didn't also overwhelm the people who love you. I had to strike that perfect balance of being informative without being psychobabbly and also being engaging without being too much. It started as this cold creative spark, quickly turned into this impossible to-do list. It wasn't just, this could be great. It became, this has to be flawless. And let me tell you, that result was a lot. The episode ran for over an hour, and I am proud of the conversation we had. However, I also know that I overfunctioned, I overmanaged, I overcommunicated every single step of the way. And because my old fear of being misunderstood started to creep in, I repeated myself over and over just to be sure I got it right. You'd think I'd catch myself though, right? Nope. Fast forward to the episode on social anxiety we had last week, and I did the same damn thing. Another hour-long marathon where I worked overtime to be organized, thorough, precise. And you know what? I overdid it there too. If we're all being real honest with one another here, I could have covered both of those episodes in 30 to 40 minutes without having to leave anything out. but I got in my own way. My perfectionism and that relentless inner critic hijacked the whole entire process. I've been digging a little bit into why I got so suddenly intense about all of this. And here's what I realized. Somewhere along the way, I started feeling the weight of responsibility for leading Mayhem. I really started to feel how much this community we're building doesn't just mean so much to me. It means so very much to you. I feel how much you've come to value it. And I know how proud I am of what we've created together. And if I'm super honest, like honest to the point of being uncomfortable about saying this part out loud, that makes a little bit of sense because all of you are here because you have been deeply and profoundly wounded by your moms. And I know, and this is the part that's freaky and weird to say out loud, that part of your healing has maybe come from feeling reparented by me through this podcast. That's not going to be true for everyone, but I imagine it's true for at least a few of you. In some ways, I've become like a mother figure to you. And because of that, if I fuck it up in some way, I run the risk of re traumatizing you, of making you feel the way your mothers may have made you feel at some point in time or another. That awareness feels sacred to me, but sacred and scared go hand in hand. I've always held it with intention and a lot of care, but it also started triggering something pretty vulnerable inside of me. Suddenly, I found myself thinking, you better not mess this up. You better not become one of those people who hurt them. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? Where did that come from? Thank goodness that that was the thought that stopped me in my tracks because it forced me to pause and ask myself, what the heck was really going on? Because that was some wackadoo thinking right there. So I took a step back, and here's what I came to. The episode for you and for the people who love you, well, it excited me. It energized me. It pushed me to dream even bigger for Mayhem. And oh my gosh, do I have some dreams. But dreaming bigger for Mayhem isn't just about ideas. It's about creating real opportunities for all of us to grow and connect as a community. Clark and I are working out the details here, and we are going to be building a real online community where all of you can interact, start your own conversations, message one another, be in more contact with me, and we can all truly connect. And Mel Robbins has a new book coming out that I've been nerding out about and super excited about. It's called Let Them. It's not coming out until a few weeks from now. I think the end of, oh, actually, by release date of this episode, it might actually already be out. But anyway, it's called Let Them. And I want any of you who are interested in joining me in reading the book to be able to, all of us to read it together. We could have discussions, journal exercises, and we could really dive into it as a group. And then that's where I think I got stuck. The more I got into the details of my daydream, the more fear crept in. Fear that I wasn't the right person for this, that I'd let you all down. Fear that I would somehow mess it all up. And suddenly my trauma brain and my nervous system took the wheel. And I felt my dreams and creativity shift and move into the passenger seat. So here's the thing I'm learning about our nervous systems. They're always on the lookout, scanning everything in our lives, our relationships, our decisions, the situations we're in. It is constantly measuring the present against our past experiences. And that's why sometimes we can react in ways that don't make sense, like me suddenly thinking I could possibly hurt you in the same way your mothers have. For me, my nervous system recognizes this energy, this pattern. In my past, when everything seemed good, that's when the rug got pulled out from under me. I'd lose things, I'd lose people, or I would lose opportunities that were really important to me. And that's where the fear and the hesitation come up. It's not just about the present, it's this old subconscious script that's running the show. So much good has been happening here on Mayhem. So much good. I get your incredibly moving letters every week. And group, it has been positively amazing. It is a game changer. And honestly, it is shifting every single thing I have ever thought about the work and how I want to show up for you, daughters, going forward. Deep down, I am starting to truly, truly feel in my bones that healing is going to be about community, connection, conversation. I feel it every Tuesday, and I see it in action every Tuesday. Then this cool opportunity came up to do an episode for you and the people who love you. And I got giddy thinking about the impact that that could have. But here's the thing, that energy that created, it didn't land in my body as good energy. It didn't feel safe to my nervous system. Instead, it was perceived as a threat. My nervous system picked up on that, and suddenly the fear that I would screw it up or that everything could just slip away took over. And before I knew it, I was spiraling, trying to prevent something that wasn't even happening. See that loop I got stuck in? So here's what I need you to understand. A lot of the expectations you've been holding for yourself aren't actually your expectations. They're the ones that were wired into you, whether you realized it or not. They came from that deeply ingrained messaging from your mom, who likely made it her job to tell you that you weren't enough, that you had to do more, be more, and always strive for perfection in order to be loved or validated. And I want you to take a second to think about that and what it means. A lot of what you have been carrying around, pushing yourself to meet, is based on someone else's rules. They're not even your own. So much of your drive, that constant need to prove yourself, probably comes from years of trying to earn something that was never yours to earn in the first place. Now, here's the thing, that drive, well, it can feel really familiar. The pressure to be perfect, to make sure everything's just right, to feel like you're always falling short. It can feel like it's just part of who you are. But I want to tell you, it doesn't have to be. That thinking is a trap. It's a pattern you've learned. And here's how you can start noticing that you're in it. I want you to start paying attention when you feel like you are running on a hamster wheel. You know the one. You're doing all the things, pushing yourself harder, maybe even making a sacrifice for someone else in the process. Then a feeling of overwhelm hits you. Or worse, maybe guilt. Maybe that voice starts telling you you're not doing enough. You're not doing it right. You're about to fail. That's when you know the trap is pulling you back in. That's when you have to hit pause. You get to decide in that moment, wait a minute, I don't have to be stuck in this pattern anymore. That's the moment when you can start to untangle it. And I want to show you how. First, awareness is key. Just recognizing when you're falling into those old habits is a crucial, critical step. You don't need to shame yourself for it. Just notice it. Take a breath, take a beat, and remind yourself, this is not my truth. This is my mom's version of what I should be doing. It isn't my own. Then you're going to need to ask yourself an important question. What would it look like to step out of this pattern? What does it look like to actually give myself permission to take a break or to not be perfect or to let go of something that I feel I have to do. This is where you can start practicing self compassion, something that we know was never really taught to you very much before. You get to be kind to yourself, you get to choose yourself. And then here's the most powerful thing you can do: you can create new standards. Decide for yourself what you need. Maybe it's saying no to something that doesn't serve you, or giving yourself the grace to make a mistake and to learn from it. Your standards don't have to match anyone else's. You're in charge of them now. And the beauty of this is your standards do not have to be rooted in perfection. They can be grounded in love for yourself and in that real, messy, beautiful process that comes with just being you and the way you choose to move through the world. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Iris. Iris didn't send a traditional letter to Mayhem, but instead she reached out to me through a DM on Instagram. And she shared that she was struggling with trusting herself as she was healing. She kept wondering if she was doing it right. She was finding herself constantly searching for one of my podcast episodes or one of my social media posts, anything that might validate for her that she was on the right path, saying the right things, doing the right things. She was trying so hard to assure herself that she was making progress. Even though she had to let go of that measuring stick from her mom, she still didn't know how to measure or trust herself. I asked Iris if I could share her story and she agreed. And now, Iris, here's something interesting. You daughters like to know how you get your names. I actually had irises in my wedding bouquet. I only picked them out because they were purple, and purple's my favorite color. But the florist at the time pointed out something that's pretty cool. She said and reminded me, irises are resilient. They improve with time and they thrive in like rocky soil. I've always remembered that. And I think it's a fitting symbol for you right now because just like irises, you're deep in that healing process. Things probably do feel rocky, but also I promise you, you're still growing. So keep holding on to that as we dive into your question. Because here's the thing, Iris, I hear you. I can feel how hard it is when you're used to measuring yourself against someone else's standards, especially when those standards were set by someone who actually never truly saw you for who you are. With your mom constantly holding up that measuring stick, you've been taught that your worth, your choices, and even your healing had to pass some kind of test. No wonder you're searching for a new way to measure your progress. That makes so much sense to me. Finding new ways to trust yourself isn't going to be about finding that perfect formula or my perfect podcast episode or the script that I offered where I said XYZ or some social media post I did. It is going to be about learning to feel into your own experiences, to listen to your own voice without needing that external validation anymore. Your journey and your path is going to become about stepping away from external benchmarks and instead learning to trust the quiet voice that's inside of you that has likely been drowned out for far too long. I know it can feel disorienting. You have probably spent years second guessing yourself by now, questioning whether or not you're doing things right because you never had the chance to learn how to trust your own instincts. And with your mom's narrative telling you that you were always too much or not enough, it is no wonder that you have started to feel a little bit lost. But healing, it's about creating space for your authentic self, your story, your narrative, without judgment. And here's a tool that might help you out of that spiral. When you are feeling lost or unsure, I'm going to encourage you here to pause. Instead of rushing to find that next piece of advice or validation from me or anyone else, instead, I want you to take a moment and I encourage you to ask yourself, how do I feel about this? Does it resonate with me? Does this feel true to me, for me, or about me? The real power is going to come in getting comfortable with uncertainty. You don't have to have it all figured out, not right now. You just have to trust, Iris, that you are going to be able to figure it out for yourself. You asked me how you can tell if you're on the right path. And the answer, it's such a big question. And honestly, my answer here sounds a little bit trite, but I'm going to encourage you to ask yourself something here. Are you beginning to make decisions for yourself, even the small ones? Can you tune into your own needs and honor them without waiting for the approval of the outside world? That is the shift. It's not about checking boxes to prove that you're healing in the right way, but it's about connecting, probably for the first time, to your own internal compass. And it's not going to happen in a straight line. Healing never happens in a straight line. It is going to be messy, my friend. And it is okay to have moments of doubt. But every single time you trust yourself, every time you pause and question whether you're doing it right, you are moving forward. So long as you are asking yourself if you are doing it right for you, there is no perfectly right way to heal. There is only ever going to be your way. Now, I want to open this conversation up a little bit bigger here, and I want to talk to all of you listening in because whether you're Iris or if you're just nodding along with both of us and thinking, yeah, me too. If you're anything like so many of the daughters that I work with, you've been taught to second guess yourself your entire life. You've internalized the shoulds, that you need to be perfect, that there's a right way to do things. And even as you've started to heal, those shoulds haven't been that easy to shake. So I want you to think for a moment. How many times have you felt like you needed someone else's validation to feel like you are on that right path? Whether it's your mother's expectations, society's standards, or just messages you've internalized along the way. Those shoulds, they can get relentless. I should be more productive. I should handle this better. I shouldn't feel so anxious. I shouldn't be so self conscious. I should be doing better. The truth, those shoulds, they're not helpful and they're really fucking damaging. When we live our lives according to someone else's rules, we are going to, by definition, lose sight of what we really want and what we really need. Healing means unlearning all of those shoulds and learning to trust your own voice, your own instincts. And it is not going to happen overnight. That's why you find yourself looking for verification every once in a while, because it's messy, it's nonlinear, and it's okay to feel uncertain. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you are in the process of becoming. So, when you catch yourself in those patterns of doubt or of perfectionism, I want to encourage you all to gently remind yourselves those voices are from the past. They're not your current truth. You don't need to be perfect to heal. You just have to keep showing up. And ladies, I'm going to be doing that same work right along with you so I can keep showing up for you too. Because seriously, I want more conversations with all of you. Clark and I, we are building out our little own online mayhem community, and we are really looking forward to welcoming you into it when that time comes. Admittedly, I don't have all the details on this, but it is going to be a place that is off of social media entirely. You'll be able to interact with one another privately. We're going to have discussion boards. I'm imagining Wednesday chats when a new episode drops, and I see a place too where I can offer journaling prompts or daily prompts for you guys to think about. This is not going to be replacing Tuesday group, but it will be an added resource for anyone who wants off of social media when talking about this, or for anyone who wants more of an actual community experience, even though they've been unable to join Tuesday group. We're being careful to design a place that isn't all trauma drama or trauma dumping. I am truly looking to build an intentional healing community for connection and conversation. And yes, it looks like I will, in fact, be hosting my first ever book discussion. I've really been looking forward to the Let Them book coming out by Mel Robbins, and I really like that idea of us all being able to read it together and talking about it along the way. And if an online mayhem community sounds like something you want to be in on, you are going to find a link to get on that wait list, and that will be in the show notes. And also, if you happen to have Tuesday at noon Pacific time free, you don't have to wait for those community doors to open. You can join our community of daughters any Tuesday if you have time. It's a come as you are community that will hold you, lift you, validate you, and keep you company on the path. The link for that will also be in the show notes. All of you are in this community of women around the world who are in this together. And I, for sure, most definitely, am in it with you too. Bye for now. I do hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you have a question you'd like me to consider for the show, please do email me over at heather@daughtersnpd.com. You are always welcome to share your story or questions by recording yourself using the voice app on your phone. For best recording quality, please do record directly into your phone without using headphones or Bluetooth speakers. We're building an incredible community as well over on Instagram, and I'd love to see you over there too. You can find us at Daughters NPD. Lastly, if you love what you've been hearing here on Mayhem and have found the show helpful in your own trauma recovery, please do consider becoming a Mother Mayhem sponsor by purchasing simple scripts for saying hard things. It's a resource I created that provides the right words for the hard conversations, and it covers life, love, and work. You'll find a link for that in the show notes. If you know another woman who needs this conversation in her life, please do share the show with her. Your reviews and social shares help spread the word, and I hope you'll consider doing so. Special thanks to Heather Clark for editing the show. She's in my head and knows what I meant to say when the words come out backwards. Thanks so much for your time today. As always, I'm in it with you. Bye for now.